every hacker is scaling themselves infinitely, basically. There was this tidal wave that was coming, and unless we had something that was similarly powerful on the defensive side to combat that, organizations would just be in for a whole world of pain. I'm Vineet Edupuganti, and I'm the CEO of Cogent Security. Cogent builds AI agents that analyze and resolve security vulnerabilities. The process of dealing with vulnerabilities that come in right now is pretty complex and laborious, right? So you might figure out from a scanner that you have that vulnerability exists. Then you might want to figure out, is that vulnerability trending in the wild? Can it be exploited? What sorts of controls in the environment might be able to mitigate against that? What system is the vulnerability on? Is that system critical? Who owns this and has to do the fixing? Given all that information, what is the best way to remediate it? And then coordinating with different people to get that work done. For Cogent, we have different modes of operation where customers can kind of choose the degree of autonomy that they want. But the goal is to shift as many of those manual and kind of investigative processes over to the machine, where our AI agents are almost like the security guards that are positioned outside your enterprise, ensuring that you're guarded against an attacker trying to break in.
The first time I met Vineet, it was clear that he was one of the deepest product thinkers I'd ever met. The thing I really took away from Vineet, he was so thoughtful about the kinds of problems that were worth solving and where you could use new technology to actually solve them in a way that customers would resonate with. Customers were saying, I don't want another scanner. If you're gonna sell me a scanner, I got bigger problems to go and solve. When Vineet and Gung and Thanos would go into these companies, one thing that we kept hearing from those customers was, I have a lot of complexity. They were never daunted.
We probably talked to maybe 100 different organizations to really understand their top pain points. Vulnerability management was almost consistently towards the top of the list. And then just our own lived experience as a founding team. Many of us, in terms of the first, couple employees, were the ones on the front lines patching vulnerabilities, right? And dealing with remediation efforts. And we saw firsthand how broken it was.
Cogent was really creating a new category. So the vulnerability management category, which was the predecessor, I think is fully dead. It doesn't apply to today's world. These vulnerabilities are unmanageable. And so what Cogent does is pull in the context from all the different places, the alerts, the scans, the threats, everything that your company might get hit with from the outside, and it contextualizes it to just what you have to care about. It's a totally new approach and one that saves security teams hundreds of hours every month. And there's multiple cases where hackers are now using these models to get into vulnerabilities much faster and exploit them in minutes instead of days or weeks like it used to be. What do you think is the secret to defense?
What we want to bring organizations towards is a model where things are not just reactive, right? Even from a vulnerability management perspective, getting away a little bit from just the scan and patch, even though some of that is still relevant. But how can you get proactive about predicting where the attack paths are going to be and then cut those off? And so having this kind of like always on fleet of agents, right, that's auditing your environment, figuring out how to secure it, and make yourself smaller and harden such that it's that much more difficult for an attacker to get in, I think is really the holy grail state that we're pushing towards.
We saw this story of when you really do outside-in security well, everything else gets better. Everything else gets more efficient, everything else gets less noisy, and there's sort of these second and third order effects that Cogent could go and capitalize on.
The prior generation of tools forced humans to still go do a lot of work. So to have agents that can operate like the best security, IT, and engineering personnel, audit the environment, figure out what work needs to be done, help to execute that work, and do all of that without causing business disruption, that was something that was literally not possible last year, basically. And there's still a ton of work that has to happen to mature that technology and meet customers where they are and take them on this full path towards autopilot. But that's really where we're allocating a lot of our efforts right now, and doing a lot of very advanced work, including on research, right, to really push the frontiers of the technology.
Well, look, man, it's great to be working together after all these years. All of us are just so excited to support Cogent. Where do you think the company's going in the next year?
So this year is really all about scaling the team, scaling our customers, right, onboarding more and more of them, including some of the world's largest and most notable brands, and then also scaling the product. So I really see Cogent as being your autonomous AI task force, right? That's effectively the Iron Man suit for the enterprise, right? Consistently finding and diffusing attack paths before attackers can get in. You can imagine the types of things that we're doing being used in all sorts of security, IT, and engineering workflows to really drive autonomy and give humans increased leverage. So I think sky's the limit in terms of where we can expand. I felt that Enrique, Rak, and Bain we're going to be the best partners in terms of allowing us to hit our plan. They understand cybersecurity very well and rolling up their sleeves to help us execute.
Well, Vineet, thank you for coming by. I know we're a short walk away from your office. It's such a fun conversation as always, and we're excited to work together.
Thank you for having me. The journey's just getting started.